All right, time now is 5:26. Some alarming news this morning.
We love to look at them and photograph them and just know they're there. But there's some
By the World Wildlife Fund says global populations of animals have declined 58% between 1970 and 2012. Animals living in lakes, rivers, and freshwater streams across the world have been hit hardest, with an 81% population decline. That's incredible.
disappearing so fast that by the year 2020, the World Wildlife Fund predicts 2/3 of the animals that existed back in 1970 will have vanished.
All right, Flakka. It's a synthetic drug that's been responsible for a string of horrifying incidents in America. And now authorities are concerned that it might have arrived here.
And now on Australian shores. Police believe it could be the mystery drug behind the Gold Coast's mass overdose.
This is the largest cohort of similar drug overdose incidents that I've seen in the 24 years I've been working on the Gold Coast.
What's sinister about these particular dangerous drugs is the delirium and the hallucinations that they manifest with these patients, is that they're not really aware of what they're doing.
Can you imagine, or can you fathom what people would see in this type of drug?
It defies my logic to understand why people would put into their precious bodies dangerous drugs that they have no idea.
The calls are the craziest.
With the Fonzie kept me up and keep me up. I walked like 10 miles.
Val Moore has heard in her 27-year career.
They're like really psychotic. They're screaming, they're yelling.
Her eyes is like she's not herself.
And they're coming in more often.
I mean, it's just an increase of calls since January.
They're all experiencing like superhuman kind of strengths.
Austin, how are you feeling?
U.S. Marshals escorted this Martin County teen to the Martin County Sheriff's Office today. Police say he killed a Martin County couple biting one of their faces and attacking their neighbor.
How are you feeling, Austin? Did you take any drugs? Anything
Can you tell us why you hurt those people?
He says, you know, he feels immortal and like a superhero. So I don't know what's going on with him.
Once he got to the hospital, he was making animal-like sounds and was somewhat incoherent. We had to get the flesh out of his teeth.
Seriously?
Oh, yeah. There's a mouthful of flesh.
I would a 19-year-old college student suddenly and for no apparent reason assault and stab a couple who were sitting in their garage, then bite the victim's flesh.
Austin Harroff gave an interview to Dr. Phil, which is expected to air this week.
Unusual amount of trauma. We have some experienced detectives. One of my detectives on this case worked homicides in New York and said it was a case as bad as he's ever seen.
A statewide effort to fight against the epidemic, heroin overdoses and deaths continue to rise across Maryland.
Authorities in Anoka County are calling it an alarming number of heroin overdoses.
This was the scene earlier this week inside a store in Massachusetts. A mother passed out on the floor after overdosing on heroin.
A drug that has killed thousands all across the nation, and the epidemic seems to be getting worse.
Thousands more are addicted to heroin from coast to coast, north to south, and it hasn't spared Palm Beach County.
Can you give us a little bit of an overview of how widespread this problem really is?
Well, I'll just talk about some numbers. We thought we had an epidemic when we had 20 to 25 overdoses a week with 1 to 2 deaths. The spike hit us in Cincinnati. There was 175 to 200 overdoses in 1 week with 3 deaths. This past weekend we had 97 overdoses just alone in 2 days. We are averaging 5 deaths a week. To say it's an epidemic we thought it was an epidemic at 20 to 25.
A staggering statistic, 3 prominent STDs have reached the highest infection rate ever.
About politically correctness, and some people are saying, well, we don't need to be referred to by that certain pronoun, him or her. But what's the solution?
Well, the solution at the moment is mandated use of whatever pronoun someone demands to be referred to by. And I'm not trying to be alarmist about this, but what's happened since the legislation was introduced is that there's been an explosion in gender identity categories. And so, for example, in New York now, there are 31 protected gender identity categories.
For some folks, gender bending on Halloween is a way to explore a different side of yourself, to have fun, to let loose, or to try on that cute skirt that you've always wanted to wear. To people like that, I say more power to ya. Newsflash, jerkwad, there's nothing funny about mocking trans people on Halloween. Dressing in drag or bending gender norms isn't funny, it's fabulous.
Bethesda Chevy Chase High School announced the first gender-neutral homecoming court in the county.
Like BCC is such an inclusive community, and something like this just brings us even closer.
So I do believe that under current Ontario law, perhaps even the discussion that we're having right now is illegal. And you know, you might think that
They are running in here to arrest us right now.
Well,
we're fine for now.
Yes, we're fine for now, but the university took that seriously enough to warn me. And so this is law in 5 provinces already and is about to become national law. And I also should point out that it makes discussion around pronoun use and around gender identity subject to the provisions of the hate speech. It's not merely, yes, it's not good. It's not good.
It sounds like Fahrenheit 451.
Yes, it does.
The discussion of gender identity, which we're more and more coming to this philosophical conclusion in our age that you can't really know. It's just an uncertainty. And that's why I say there was a time where that would have been, if someone would have said that, we would have said absurd. This is absurdity. But now it's being entertained. It's being discussed. It's being thought upon in the think tanks of our nation called universities.
ISIS, of course, is still in control of Iraq's second largest city, Mosul, but Iraqi and Kurdish forces are closing in.
Iraqi special forces are deploying around the suburbs of Mosul ahead of a push to retake the city from Daesh.
After a short pause, attacks like this in besieged Aleppo have resumed.
Mother Nature is again putting Italians to the test. Fortunately, no fatalities.
This morning out of Italy, where a powerful earthquake has rocked again now, the same area.
This morning's quake was the strongest to strike Italy in more than 35 years. Nuns fled as tremors shook the central square of Norcia, where the main basilica was damaged. This area was just shaken by a pair of strong quakes on Wednesday.
North Korea now poses a new level of threat. And
South Korea and the United States have conducted their annual
Astronomers detected a 2-second burst of radio waves coming from a star in the constellation Hercules. Scientists have now been watching that spot very closely.
I read the headlines saying that if this is aliens, they're way more advanced as civilization than us. Let's pretend that it's real for a moment. What would that mean?
Well, it would change everything. Religion, philosophy, the stock markets, history, technology, everything would change if we knew we were not alone. And what's particularly interesting is that this is a very nearby star. It's only 100 light years away, which in astronomical terms is just down the road. But yeah, if there's an alien this powerful right on our doorstep, it means that we are just tiny little bugs in a very crowded, busy cosmic star.
Wonder Woman has a new achievement under her belt. The United Nations will name the iconic comic book character as its new honorary ambassador.
Here's the point. Male and female are not determined by human choice. Male and female are not chance products of evolution. God created, as He did, with a plan in view. And that plan significantly included man as man, woman as woman, and their place in this world that He created.